support quality programming in the Mid-Michigan area.
It wouldn't be long, however, before Michigan State would have another player who would generate the kind of excitement Irvin Johnson brought to the table. But unlike Johnson, the next great Spartan point guard wasn't heralded as such at the beginning of his career.
Well, Scott Skiles, when I first saw him, I was in a semi-state at Fort Wayne, and I didn't have a program, so I'm trying to figure out who is Scott Skiles, and I pick out a guy that has a shot over his head that makes every shot in warm-up, but I just hate shots over the head, and so I said, well, that's got to be Scott Skiles. And then they introduced him, and there's kind of a little pudgy guy with his stomach sticking out, and I said, that can't be Scott Skiles.
That was generally the reaction one got when seeing Scott Skiles for the first time. Expectations were high for a player whose reputation at Indiana's Plymouth High School was that of a legend. But expectations and reality, as far as physical ability is concerned, turned out to be two completely different things.
Scott was one of those players that does not impress you at first because he does not have any athletic ability. He has no speed and quickness. We used to joke, hey, if the band's playing and you're really psyched up, you can run and maybe touch the rim before the game.
When I first got the calls from Judd, I was flattered by that, because even though it was 79 and I came in 82, right when Magic left, the program kind of took a downturn right away because everybody left at the same time. And so it was a good opportunity to kind of try to bring the program back.
Scott Skiles, right with Irvin as one of the all-time fighters and winners. He did it in a more visible way, whereas Irvin's will to win was more internal. Scott could carry a team. He would play a game with a blood-soaked sock. He would go and guard a guy 7 inches taller. Once in 1986, after he was elbowed in the face by a teammate in a shoot-around for being a little bit mouthy, he had a big shiner, and he showed up that night at Minnesota 20 for 28 from the field and scored 45 points. We went back through the box score of that game. That was when he did not have a three-point line. He would have had 62 points.
But even though Skiles was taking and making a lot of good shots on the court, it was his judgment off the court that got him into trouble. Before his sophomore season even began, Skiles started down the long road to becoming the most controversial player in MSU history.
Well, it was very tough. You know, it was tough on my family. You know, it was tough on Judd. It was tough on the whole school, the athletic director, Doug Weaver. I mean, my teammates, everyone.
In less than 2 years, Skiles was arrested twice for impaired driving. There were even some Spartan fans who believed Skiles no longer deserved to wear the green and white uniform, but his coach thought otherwise.
He had some off-court problems that the media just blew out of proportion, and those would have been called normal problems for some students, and yet because of the name he had, he was just branded and labeled and almost tarred and feathered by the media and the crowd.
Michigan State from the free throw line.
Heathcote's decision to suspend Skiles for just 5 days in one exhibition game after the last arrest his senior season wasn't the most popular of moves.
I think he took a lot of heat for it at the time. He, you know, from you know, maybe even some of the Michigan State alumni people. I don't know, but I know he did from the media for sure, the national media, the Detroit media. And so yes, it was tough for him. It was tough for me. We took a lot of criticism for the way we handled his off-court situations. He took a lot of heat for not just you know, suspending me or kicking me off the team, and but he knew I didn't have a problem. I think that was the main thing. He knew I did what I did. I got caught, and I paid for it, like I said, and it was wrong. But he knew that, you know, I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't have a problem. I didn't drink every day. He knew all those things about me. So, You know, and I went in, the last time it happened, I went in and fully expected to redshirt, miss the year in redshirt, and I was fine with that. I wasn't going to transfer or do anything. I knew that I had some discipline coming, and, we talked about it, and I'm obviously very grateful the way it turned out.
Michigan State, Georgetown, and this place is abuzz, as in the first round, Scott Skiles had 31 points in that victory over Washington. He is averaging over 27 a game, and I don't know if there's enough adjectives at this point, Doug, to describe his play this year.
Gary, I've seen him play.
The 1985-86 team racked up 23 wins, including a season sweep of Michigan. The Spartans would make it to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament, which included an upset win over fourth-seeded Georgetown and a Skiles wraparound pass that would become the play of the tournament.
Well, this is Scott Skiles that we've seen this year. Behind the back, a wraparound pass to Pollock, running the floor. Great play that has gotten this Michigan State team on fire.
Well, I've made that pass and similar passes to that my whole life, really. I'd made that pass maybe 25, 30 times in various summer league games, pickup games, even at Michigan State in other games. But I never made it on national TV, so nobody had ever seen it before. So, I mean, that was the thing. Even to this day, I'll be in an airport or I'll be somewhere and somebody will come up and talk to me about that pass.
After a clock malfunction, the Spartans lost in the next round to Kansas. Skiles ended his career as the all-time green and white leader in points, assists, steals, and free throw percentage. And as much as he gave to Michigan State University during his time on the basketball court, Skiles maintains he was the biggest winner after his 4-year experience as a Spartan.
I don't get that many opportunities to go back anymore, and just to be back there, I've just in the last probably 3 or 4 years, I've really developed a great appreciation for the people there and what I went through there, and it's just a great school, a great place, and I get emotional when I go back there.
Quite a change.
As with any new home, it took a little while for the residents to get used to their new surroundings.
It was antiseptic. It was almost too sterile, and the fans had to get used to it, had to kind of break the building in. Once they found out what they could do and what the comfort level was, the acoustics were very different. But as they became more comfortable and as the team gave them a reason to scream that year, that was a tremendous team.
Although the team that year might not have made it to the Final Four, there's no doubt it's one of the top 4 teams in school history.
I think the 90 team would have to rank with the 79 team as the 2 best. I'm not sure the 90 team wouldn't have beaten them in a game. It would have been a great game.
What Irvin Johnson was to the 1979 national championship team, Steve Smith was in 1990. Coming to East Lansing from a little further away than Magic, Smith went to Pershing High in Detroit. He would lead the Spartans to what at that time was the winningest record in team history. In his 4 years at MSU, Smith would take over the school scoring record and was twice voted an All-American. But it was his junior year that the Spartans broke out with their best season in a decade, with the biggest game the young Breslin Center had ever been part of. March 11, 1990, the Spartans beat Purdue in a comeback win that gave Michigan State an outright Big Ten title and a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. That was the good news. The bad news would come in the Sweet 16 in their game with Georgia Tech.
And the problem with it is when I talk about this, I still get upset. I don't care what anybody says. I'll meet you in the back alley and fight you over it. The shot shouldn't have counted.
Here comes Anderson. 2 seconds at the buzzer. Counts! One official says 3, another said 2.
With the Spartans up 75-73, Tech's Kenny Anderson hit a shot with time already expired. It tied the game and sent it to overtime. That's where the Spartans would eventually lose by 1. The team that was one of the favorites to make it to the Final Four was eliminated on a play which by all rights should never have happened. Something the Spartans head coach still can't understand.
We had a great team in 1990, and of course Georgia Tech had a great team. And Kenny Anderson hit the shot. They were so worried about whether it was a 3-pointer or 2-pointer, they never realized the shot came after the game.
He hits the jump shot, and all I can remember was just absolute rage. The kind of rage that there's nothing you can do about it. It was a farce. It was embarrassing. It was something that, to this day, I bet you talk to any guy that was on that team, you know, even the old man, Judd, he'll still just make you upset. And that's all it'll ever do.
The Spartans finished the year with a 28-6 record and Player of the Year honors for Smith. In the inaugural year of the Breslin Center, these Spartans not only made it easy for the fans to call their new arena home, they also made it memorable.
Both their junior and senior year.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, I can remember Eric Snow after a game
Eric Snow was 5th on the Big Ten's all-time assist list and was named the team's co-MVP with Respert. But most importantly, the end of the 1994 season closed out the storied career of Judd Heathcote. After 19 seasons, he had coached his final game.
Retirement, I think, was a tough time for Judd because, as he always said, he's a lifer. You know, he's a guy that wanted to coach the rest of his life. And yet I think he got out on his own terms and when he wanted to get out.
Well, I think maybe longevity is my legacy. I was here 19 years. I think people relate to the national championship. I think they relate to the Skiles years, the Steve Smith's years. So I always said I want to be remembered as a good coach, not a great coach, a guy that cared about his players, cared about the university, and cared about the game of basketball. I think I am remembered for that.
A good friend of mine who just passed away called him the coach for the next century. He is everything Judd had and more.
Coming from a remote town in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, being presented with the opportunity to coach a big-time college basketball program was a dream come true for Iron Mountain's Tom Izzo. But even after being under Heathcote's wing for over a decade, nothing could prepare him for that first moment when he realized that Judd was gone and the program was all his.
Well, it was difficult. As hard on the court as it was in the speaking category because he was such a good speaker and such a great banquet guy and such a great coach. And I knew I had big shoes to fill, but I also knew I worked for the guy for 12 years. And we really didn't change a lot. Every day that I'm in this job, the things that I questioned that he did, I realize how right he was, and so I find myself reverting back more and more and more.
Although he's a lot like his old boss in many ways, he is independent with his own unique way of running the show.
Outstanding recruiter, tireless, could discipline players, could be very hard on him when he had to be. But he gets it. He sees the big picture. He's the perfect coach for Michigan State. And I would say that if they had losing records.
I went up and I talked to the team and last year, and I can tell they all respect him. They have a lot of respect for him. And not only recruiting, he's a really good X and O coach.
I can remember him coming to my house, you know, just telling me about the program and how, you know, he's going to be, you know, everything's going to be new to him. And, you know, he just wanted to, you know, find some guys who worked hard and came and just I guess just did it the hard way.
In 1995, Antonio Smith was Izzo's first recruit as Spartans head coach.
It was kind of a weird thing, you know, because he was from up north and I was from like a inner city kid. So, but we really was coming in and both of us, it was our first opportunity. You know, he was getting his first shot at head coaching. And we've come very close, kind of like a father-son relationship because we've been through a lot, you know, we've been through our down parts and we had to stick with each other, you know, when we thought that it couldn't get any better, we just continued working and it did.
The next year, Smith's teammate at Flint Northern, a chubby, cocky player named Mateen Cleaves, would join the Spartans as part of a brilliant master plan on Izzo's part to bring MSU back to national prominence.
The relationship I have with him, that's special, you know. He's very down to earth. He's not like the average coach, you know. His door is always open, you know, whatever the case is. If I need to talk to him about anything, you know, basketball, outside of basketball, whatever, you know, his door is always open.
I recruited Mateen real early in his career, 10th grade or 9th grade, you know, whenever. And, you know, for Antonio to come here, then Mateen, we talked about all the dreams that we could have. We talked about, you know, highlighting him and giving him a chance to someday hopefully be a professional basketball player and maybe lead us to national prominence. And some of that is starting to happen, and it would be great if it did. And our relationship has grown because of it.
As for just how far the Spartans can go under Izzo's direction, the university was given a glimpse in 1998. Whether it was because it was the 100th season of Spartan basketball or because it was the 20th anniversary of the last time Michigan State went to the Final Four, the 98 season had destiny written all over it. Those who were around in '79 compared the chemistry of Morris Peterson and Mateen Cleaves to the tandem of Greg Kelser and Irvin Johnson.
They are very good. I think that Mateen, he's a lot like Irvin in that he can dominate a basketball game without scoring. He can move the ball around. He can get it to the open people. I think he just understands how to play and how to win. And sometimes he'll will his team to victory. And Morris Peterson, he's one of my favorite players on the team because he's exciting. He gets up and down the floor. He can shoot it from the outside. He understands the importance of sacrificing. Coming off the bench all year when he probably would have loved to have been in that starting lineup.
Morris is a guy, he is like a point guard's dream, you know. He makes me look good, you know. I just throw it up there. I can throw it up to Mars and he'll go get it, you know. And he's a guy that, he just brought so much intensity, you know, to the game.
So yeah, that's my boy. We've been doing that for quite some time. It's just, you know, fortunate that, you know, Mateen is able to get the ball to, you know, everybody, to everybody on the team. And, you know, one thing Mateen always tells, you know, guys on the team, you know, he's going to get, you know, people who open the ball. And sometimes, you know, I just try to, you know, just try to score a little bit.
Despite the Spartans' 11-3 start to the '98 season, one important piece of the puzzle wasn't working too well. After he injured himself over the summer, Cleaves started the season off slowly. His shooting touch was off. The fans began to worry. And most importantly, Cleaves began to lose confidence in himself.
Mentally, I was inside. I was like, oh my God, you know, what I'm gonna do, you know, I just went out there and tried to play, and I tried to do too much. You know, I got caught up in Mateen Cleaves, the All-American. He can't miss a shot. He can't turn the ball over, and I got caught up in that, you know, and that kind of, I was, you know, it was messing with me mentally because I didn't think I could make a mistake. I'm an All-American. You don't make mistakes.
That's when a well-publicized pep talk from the most famous All-American in Spartan history changed Cleaves' season and maybe his career.
It was a conversation that lasted probably 30 seconds, but probably be with me a lifetime.
And the team came out and he had fun. You know, it was nice to, you know, see a smile back on his face, and it was nice to see, you know, everybody having fun. I think, you know, Magic really did get inside to him, and I think it was glad because it really turned our season around.
He just told me, he said, hey, you got to go out there and have fun. And, you know, he got that smile and the way he talked, he had me going. You know, he said, hey, you just got to go out there and have fun, enjoy yourself, and do what you do. You know, you got to give me some of the fancy passes, give me some of the high fives, give me some of the hugs and the smiles. That was big for me, you know, and that helped me out a lot. You know, the coaches and the players are telling me, you know, I need to start having more fun. But then when Magic Johnson says, I mean, hey, Dean, you know, like, come on, I mean, if you're not having fun, you need to have fun.
If nothing else, the '98-99 team was about just that, fun. After losing at Wisconsin in early January of '99, the Spartans reeled off a school record 18 straight wins in the Big Ten, which included the biggest victory the Breslin Center has ever seen. February 21st, the rematch with Wisconsin at home was important for two reasons. It was a chance for the Spartans to win an outright Big Ten title, as well as a chance for revenge.
We really just wanted to go out there and win because last year, you know, we played Purdue and it wasn't the fun, you know, accepting the trophy at the end of the game. We just lost, so we felt like if we go out there and just win this game, we could celebrate at the end.
The Spartans beat Wisconsin 66-51 that day, which started a wild celebration on the Breslin Center floor.
Well, it seemed like it lasted for like 3 or 4 hours and no one didn't want to go home, but it was just great. It was great for the team, plus great for this universe.
That's something I'll never forget in my life. You know, all the fans coming out, we're hugging the fans, jumping around, hugging each other, hugging the coaching staff, because we work so hard, you know, and it's just that sign of
This will indeed provide the final piece of the puzzle. Who will be the
It was big, you know, defending national champs, you know, whoever wins this game goes to the Final Four, you know, and did nobody think we could win? Nobody, you know. It was like us against the world, you know. We had our families and our fans and the MSU supporters and our alums and that kind of thing. That's all we had, you know. Didn't nobody think we could win, you know. We just went out there and just played.
Play by Saul Smith chasing that down.
Early on in the game, the Spartans' dreams of a Final Four berth seemed to be slipping away. The team trailed 17-4 early in the first half, and it took a rare outburst by a silent leader to change things around.
Duke by 21.
Well, really, when we got down, I think, you know, guys are a little uptight or whatever, and we wasn't playing hard, and we weren't doing the things that got us to that point. And we called a timeout, and a little quiet Antonio, you know, I mean, he blew up.
Coach just let him start talking. Like that huddle, we didn't even set up any plays or anything. Antonio was just talking, telling them, you know, we done came too far, you know, to back down. You know, we're just playing them because, you know, they're Kentucky. You know, we're not out there feeling like we can win.
Terrible misread.
After missing 12 of their first 15 shots, the Spartans, after Smith's tirade, came back to beat the Wildcats, 73-66. Morris Peterson led the way with 19 points and 10 rebounds, and hit 6 key free throws in the last 30 seconds to seal the win.
Yesterday in a losing cause.
I think, you know, when I shot the free throws, I started dating back to when I was younger, you know, winning big games at the free throw line, you know, hitting some big shots, you know, in an important game. I mean, I can't think of any more important games than, you know, to win a game, going to the Final Four, you know, playing against one of the most storied college basketball teams ever. So, I mean, I didn't really think about, you know, any pressure. I just wanted to go up there and knock the free throws down and win a ball game.
So, for the first time since the Magic Johnson years, the green and white were represented in the Final Four. The Spartans took their school record 22-game winning streak down to St. Petersburg, Florida, where, despite a late second-half surge, they lost to Duke University 68-62. But Michigan State had done what it had set out to do at the beginning of the season, earn the program the honor of being one of the nation's elite. While the team may not have won a championship, in the grand scheme of things, the project was brought one step closer to completion.
You know, I hope that we can, as a team, and myself as a coach, can set our own footsteps in the sand, kind of to speak, meaning that, you know, we leave something behind here. Can we do something special, win back-to-back championships? And if you do, 20 years from now, when you come back like they're coming back on Sunday, it'll be a very special moment.
Well, it's all over. While the warm feelings and good memories linger, don't despair. There's a lot more new and exciting viewing coming up. So if you just want to say thanks for the old times or best wishes for the future, say it with a generous pledge to the station that makes it all happen for you. The number's on your screen, and a volunteer is waiting to take your call.